Hi, welcome to Minute with Mickey, a time for us to wonder about the stories that we find about the prophet Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 4 and chapter 6. It's interesting that we have four stories put together in this one sort of story that we hear for this week's story of the week. And these are about oil, stew, bread, and axe. And I find it really interesting that these stories, as they come together in one kind of narrative, that we see that we're recognizing that Elisha is being established as a great prophet because of the miracles that he's able to do. But what I'd like us to wonder about, go back into the text a little bit itself and take a look at why these particular things are seen as the miracles. And have we seen something like this before in Scripture, or is this a precluder or a precursor for something that is yet to come of a story that might have fit with Jesus? So we see the story about the oil. Have we heard this before? Is this yet to come? Is there another story about oil that's so important? And we recognize that somehow the miracle of this multiplying oil is not a new story. So where else is it in Scripture? Find that. Secondly, we have the story of stew. And this interesting story about how Elisha was able to make this stew healthy just by throwing flour in it. But the idea is that he was able to make it. What does this mean about what God is interested in our lives? The second one about bread. Where are we seeing other stories about bread, especially multiplying bread? Go and find the parallel texts that will tell us those stories. Where are those? I'd like you to wonder about that. And then finally, the story of the axe. But what's the important piece of this story? I would like to suggest that what we see here is God using Elisha in order to provide miracles that show that God is very concerned and willing to provide for our needs, financial, physical, and our home needs and our shelter needs. That's the sort of the three pieces that came to me. Plus, I think that it's really worth wondering, where do we find other stories that are like this about oil, food, stew, wonder where that one is, bread, and housing? Where are those other stories like that? So what are these things telling you about the character of God and what God is concerned with in your life? Thanks for listening. Have a great week.